Again, it's Jay Ocker, Real Estate by Design Group at Keller Williams, and I'm joined by my business partner.
And I am Troy Jaster, Real Estate by Design in San Antonio, Texas.
Yep. And for those of you who did not know, we are in North Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth. Troy's got a big chunk of South Texas covered, including the San Antonio market. But we're glad you tuned in again. We rolled out the intro video last week, just kind of about this 8-part series that we're putting together, designed towards agents who are trying to revive or kick their careers back into shape after COVID-19.
That's right.
So again, we're going to keep everything super simple, very, very easy things to do to become more disciplined in your approach and get your business back on track. Troy, what are we going to be talking about today?
So the title of today's is Get Up and Show Up. So what we're talking about here is that maybe over the last couple of months, well, not maybe, I mean, let's face it, all of us got out of our normal rhythms. And I don't know about what it's like for you, but I know for me, I'm way more productive when I'm in my office here rather than when I'm working from home. But the last couple of months, I didn't have a choice. I had to be working from home. So what commonly can happen, and I don't know that I ever did this because I'm perfect, right?
Right.
But what can often happen when we're working from home or when we're not in our normal rhythms is that we wake up, kind of roll out of bed, start checking some emails, and then maybe, oh, hey, there's something I need to respond to. There's a form I need to fill out. There's a contract I need to check into. And suddenly you just sort of like slowly roll into the morning rather than having like a defined, I'm starting my day right now. I'm entering the office. And suddenly, you know, that little, hey, I'm going to check a couple emails and get back to a couple people turns into, it's
another episode of Ozark.
Yeah. Another episode. That's right. But it turns into, you know, all of a sudden it's 11 a.m. I'm still in my pajamas. I haven't showered. I maybe grabbed a piece of toast for breakfast. And, you know, it's just like you don't have this clear start to the day. So that's the first thing that I think is really detrimental, because then that also can bleed into the end of the day where you just kind of never stop. And if we never start and we never stop, then we never are really fully at our peak production, right?
You're just operating in a gray area. So, you know, establishing that rhythm is obviously incredibly important. It's part of becoming more disciplined in what you did. And if you've been in real estate for a long time, you've probably done some things right to stay in real estate for a long time. That's for sure. So again, this is designed to kind of kickstart everything back into gear.
Right.
And we think, again, speaking from a very simplistic standpoint, getting into that normal daily rhythm is so important. Troy and I have talked at length about kind of our favorite resources for doing things like that. And we both kind of speak from the same page. He's got one piece of text he loves. I've got another. Troy, talk about yours.
Yeah. So The Miracle Morning, if you don't know The Miracle Morning, it is an amazing book. Hal Elrod is the author there. And, you know, it talks about just how it gives you some really strategic points of getting up and just having a set system in the morning to, you know, give gratitude, to do some journaling, to do some reading, to do something physical, exercise wise. And it really sets you on your day. I mean, Jay, I know you and I both are early morning worker outers. You know, this morning I was up at 4:30. I was at the gym at 5. We even after the gym, our little crew, we went out for breakfast this morning. Yeah. I got back to the house. It's like 7:15. I've already done my workout, had breakfast, and nobody else in my house is awake yet.
Yeah, it's funny during the lockdown, if you will. I'm like you. I'm used to get up at 5:30 in the morning, and starting about the middle of that 3-month block, I was getting up at 8.
Yeah,
and it just knocked my circadian rhythms, everything out of whack. And I've slowly worked myself back into it. And I got up at 5 this morning against my will for some reason, just got up.
Well, and you know what happens is you weren't doing that on day one of the shutdown. It's a slow creep.
Yep.
Right. It's this slippery slope. They're like, oh, 5 turns into 5:15, turns into 5:30, turns into 6, turns into, I'm not even going to set my alarm and just wake up when the birds are chirping.
Yeah.
And
the big thing that I took from Miracle Morning myself, and I've always kind of adopted some version of this in the past, but this really put it into perspective for me, was starting my day the night before.
Yes.
In other words, I will every single night, regardless of the day, I will pull up my calendar sometime between 7 p.m. and when I go to bed and just see what the next day looks like. And I'm at least mentally prepared for that. And I'm not going to wake up in the morning at some unspecified time and wonder what I have to do that day. I already know, and my head's in the right place. And,
right.
And it gets as simple and basic as when I come in, I'm very, very much a creature of habit. I put my car keys here, I put my wallet here, I put my briefcase here, and whatever else I may need for the day right there. So when I'm on my way out the door, boom, 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 I grab them all and I'm gone, because everybody's probably been in the situation before where you are 10 minutes down the road from your house and you forgot your phone.
Yeah.
And there's no bigger way to shoot the wheels off your morning than forgetting something like that.
Well, and we'll get a lot more into this on the next one coming up, the next video, where we talk a lot more about some scheduling habits and some time blocking habits. But I'll just tell you, one of the things that I look at, long ago, I saw that every single one of us gets 1,440 minutes per day. That's all you get, 24 hours, 1,440. By God, I am not going to spend any of that 1,440 minutes looking for my stinking keys. Are you kidding me? Like, if that's all I get.
Life is too short, too precious every minute. So the piece of text, or the book that I really love, and I read it probably 2 years ago for the first time, and I've read it probably 3 or 4 times since, is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And this is an audio book that I listen to coincidentally when I'm driving back and forth between Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. I listen to it routinely, and the biggest thing that grabbed me out of that book, and I go back to it, and it talks about it extensively in the first 4 chapters, is essentially becoming 1% better today than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
It doesn't put that granular number of 1% on it, but it's about doing things a little bit differently just to become that much better. In fact, these little gains that you're making in your progress towards whatever you're doing are almost unnoticeable, but over time you look back, it's like working out. You mentioned that, I don't realize that I'm actually losing weight or getting smaller in the waist until I try to put on my old jeans and they fall off of me. And the phenomenon, or the descriptor of what they call that in that book, is the aggregation of marginal gains. The gains are so tiny, you don't even recognize them until you look at it over a block of time, and then it's a huge, huge gain. So just focusing on becoming more disciplined every day is really where my head is at. And making sure, whether it's making fewer errors, getting more done, becoming more efficient at the same things I do every day, that's really what I'm looking at and focused on.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. And, as real estate agents, the thing that I've found is that the way I always describe our sort of daily life is things can happen very fast and yet take a long time. There's times where you get that phone call and suddenly you've got to go show a house in 20 minutes, because I know my market's similar to yours, and properties that are good can go under contract really, really fast.
Yeah.
And so, just last week, I'm driving into the office. I get a phone call from a client of mine. She said, this one just popped up on the market. Let's go see it. And I did a 180, and we're there a half hour later. Luckily, we're under contract on that house now, because that's the type of thing that you have to be ready for.
And so, luckily, you had gotten out of bed, taken a shower, and gotten dressed at 8, not 11, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And didn't forget my phone, didn't forget my keys, all of those things.
Yeah. Well, that really sums up kind of the first segment of what we're doing here. And hopefully you can tell by what we've talked about and how casual this conversation is, that this stuff does not need to be complicated. We're going to keep it extremely simple throughout the whole process. And that's how Troy and I have managed to grow our teams, is by just keeping it simple and being fundamentally disciplined in what we do. So next video, which is going to be present here in a couple of days, is going to be more designed around time blocking, calendaring your items, and we won't give away too much, but that a couple of days from now, you're going to see a video that's 5 to 8 minutes long, talking about, again, very simplistic things like calendaring, time blocking for your job.
You got it.
And again, if you have questions, bottom of the screen, you will see knowledge@rebdgroup.com. If you do have questions, want to add anything, please contact us there. We will also be collecting your information and sending out kind of nuggets and tidbits as we go through this series, hard pieces to leave behind that you may be able to use in your business and help you out becoming more efficient, more successful.
Yep. We want to be able to offer something tangible right off the bat that is an easy, just jump in, use this nugget, whatever that resource is, and make yourself 1% better.
Very good. Cool. Well, until next time, guys, which is a couple of days from now, thank you so much for tuning in. Troy, thanks for your time again.
Yep.
And we'll bump it around in a couple of days.
Sounds good. See you again.
Bye.